Good morning, everyone. Good Erev Shabbos. So in this week's Parsha, which is the conclusion of Chumash Bereishis, the brothers and Yosef are reconciled. Vaychi Yaakov be'eretz Mitzrayim shvayis reishona. Yaakov has the best 17 years of his life. He has children, he has grandchildren. The family on the surface is at peace one with another. And Yosef is the viceroy of Egypt, and they're living in the land of Goshen. He ensconced them in a very good neighborhood. Yehuda has made a yeshiva in Mitzrayim. Seems that everything is well. However, as we all know in human events, there are scars that do not heal easily. And the story of Yosef and his brothers is of such a magnitude that it would be impossible to say that it's all over. That somehow let bygones be bygones, and we're not going to in any way continue the tension in the family. But that, unfortunately, does not happen. The tension remains. In the Parsha, the Torah tells us that after Yaakov Avinu died, there was a distancing between Yosef and the rest of his brothers. Rashi points out they felt he didn't come to visit them. He didn't send them a birthday card. He never naturally took any action against them. But they felt that they felt uncomfortable in his presence. And they felt even more uncomfortable when he was not present, because they felt that perhaps he still had this strong feeling of animosity against them. It's not justified. Yosef has no intention of wreaking revenge on the brothers. Yosef doesn't want to stir the pot, so to speak. But it's a feeling that they have. What aggravates the feeling is a great psychological insight here. Is that when you wait, they are waiting for Yosef to do something, and he never does. The anticipation itself is greater than the animosity would have been had he done something. And we see that in the Pasuk. I've remarked to you many times the fact that the Gaon of Vilna points out that there are two Hebrew words for what we could call maybe or perhaps. One word is ulai, and the other word is pen. So the Gaon says that the word ulai is always used when you want something to happen. Maybe I'll win the lottery. So then I would say ulai eske. When you don't want the thing to happen, so then you say pen. Pen yifte levavechem v'sartem v'avadetem Elohim acherim. So pen is negative and ulai is positive. So in the Parsha, it says that the brothers said to themselves, to each other, after the death of Yaakov Avinu, and the feeling of estrangement that they had, whether it was justified or not, but they had that feeling. They said, V'lu yistameinu Yosef. V'lu is ulai. They should have said pen. V'lu yistameinu Yosef means that we want Yosef to hate us. We want it to happen. You should have said, pen yistameinu Yosef, lest Yosef hate us. So there's a deep psychological point here that the Mefarshim deal with. We have a posuk we say every day in Tehillim. So we say it in the evening every morning. Hashem ohev tzadikim. The Lord loves the righteous. He loves tzadikim. Now that phrase is in the midst of all sorts of miraculous phrases. The Rebbeinu Shalom is okay prufim. He straightens those who are bent. He makes the sightless see. He makes the lame walk. In the middle, he loves tzaddikim. What has that got to do with it? It doesn't fit into the context. The context is that the Lord performs miracles. The Lord is not like human beings. So the Mefarshim say very deeply, human beings don't love tzaddikim. Tzaddikim are a pain to us. They are like living reproof of our own shortcomings. So we don't like it. We like, people like us. I remember my predecessor, who as a Rav in Miami Beach, was the great Rabbi Aryeh Rotman, Zecher Tzadik L'Broch. He never spoke Lashon Hara. Never said a critical thing. He, in the yeshiva already, we knew him. We used to say he's our Chofetz Chaim. When I came to Miami Beach to succeed him, so the first week or second week there, we had a rabbinic meeting of the rabbis in Miami Beach. I think there were 5 of us. And one of them said, we would like to welcome Rabbi Wein, who's here. We'd like to make note that Rabbi Rotman is not here, and therefore we can all speak Lashon Hara without a problem. Deep down, it's not easy to have a person that doesn't speak Lashon Hara at a meeting. It's a reproof to you. So Hashem ohev tzaddik, in the Lord loves the tzaddik. That's why you'll see it's a very common practice of the nature of people is to nitpick tzaddikim. Yeah, he's not such a tzaddik. Yeah, I know something about him. In this case, he decided wrongly. Yeah, there's a whole thing going on now with the great Reb Chaim Kanievsky. So Reb Chaim Kanievsky, whatever he says, well, we're going to go to Lador, we're going to do it, etc. So he said that people should get vaccinated. Well, the roof fell in. He's not Reb Chaim Kanievsky anymore. Why should we listen to him? So people like to pick and choose, put it together according to their own way. So the brothers said, we can't stand this anymore. He doesn't do anything. He doesn't reprove us. He doesn't discriminate against us. He doesn't recall to us what we did to him. The perpetrator becomes the victim of his own act of evil. And that's why they said, Lu Yistamenu Yosef. Alavai Yosef would hate us, because then we would be justified. You see, he hates us, and we knew he hated us, and therefore that's why we did all of this. And therefore, they actually, subconsciously, had a great desire that Yosef should take action against them, should somehow straighten it out. That didn't happen. So they are left in a frustrated state. So they come and tell Yosef a story. Your father said before he died that you should take care of us and don't be angry at us, etc., etc. And Yosef weeps when they say that, because he knows it's not true. If Yaakov wanted that, he should have told it to Yosef. Why is he telling it to them? There's a famous quip that a chassid had a dream. And he came to the Rebbe and he said to him, I had this great dream. And in the dream, I'm a great Rebbe. And the Rebbe told him, you had the dream. The chassidim should have had the dream. What good does it do that you have the dream? So Yaakov told you that I shouldn't hate you? Should have told me. I'm the subject of the matter. And that's why he weeps, because he knows that it's false. But he weeps because he knows that the scar is still there. The brothers haven't gotten over it. And he also knows that there are situations in life that cannot be repaired. The Balei Musar say regarding the entire incident with Yosef and his brothers, a mashal, an example. A person buys an expensive, beautiful, let's say, piece of pottery. And somehow it gets broken. But it's been broken in such a way that it can be repaired. So he takes it to the potter, and the potter repairs it so that to the naked eye of the third person looking at it, it looks perfect. Not aware that it's been broken. But to the owner, he knows always that it's been broken and repaired. He knows it's not the original one. So there are situations in life that simply cannot be repaired. And that's why Chazal say that the dispute between Yosef and his brothers continued throughout all the generations. That's the dispute between Malchus Ephraim and Malchus Yehuda in the Bayis Rishon. That's the dispute between the Atzeres HaShvatim and the descendants of Shlomo. And they say every dispute in Jewish life, of which there are unfortunately no shortages, is reflective of the original dispute. And because of that, therefore, we're able to patch things up and move on, but we know that it's broken. We know that somehow that vase will never be the same again. And that's why the Navi Yechezkel in last week's Haftorah, it gives us the example of the two branches that have to become one tree, H. Yosef and H. Yehuda. But that's a messianic vision. It's a utopian vision. It's a vision beyond, so to speak, our world. And this contest will remain throughout the biblical period, at least, as an open wound, as a sore that didn't go away. Now, the brothers are further challenged by the fact that Yaakov Avinu gave the Bechorah to Yosef, took it away from Reuven, took it away from Shimon and Levi, didn't give it to Yehuda, even though he makes Yehuda the leader of the people. And he makes Yosef the Bechor, and Yosef has two Shvatim, Ephraim and Menashe. And the tribes of Shimon and Levi, Shimon almost disappears, the smallest in number. It never is able to have any foothold in the land of Israel. Never was able to acquire its territory. The Shimon became itinerant teachers. Levi also has no share. Like the Levium are a special tribe, Kohanim, Levium, but they have no share in the land of Israel. So both Shimon and Levi are dependent upon the other brothers. They have no independence. And they're aware of that. They're aware of what Yaakov has said. How Yaakov has divided the inheritance. So there is a lingering discomfort here within the Jewish people over the matter. I think that's why, for instance, the Medrash, we say the Piyut, the Slicha on Yom Kippur, and we also on Tisha B'Av, different Piyut, but the same subject matter of the Asora Haruge Malchus. The martyrs at the time of the persecution of the Romans, during the time of the Emperor Hadrian. After the rebellion of Bar Kokhba, there was a period of years, almost 40 years of terrible persecution of the Talmidei Chachamim. And so the example that's used is, why should the Talmidei Chachamim be persecuted? Why should the Jewish people be martyred? Because of the fact that they sold their brother. And therefore the Medrash pictures for us in a frightening way the room full of shoes that all of us have seen if you go to a Holocaust museum. Because that became, oops. Okay. It's okay. That became the symbol of the terror within the Jewish people. And that because of that, therefore, bad things can happen, God forbid. It's not without a reason. So this plays itself out in generations. So the brothers wanted Yosef to react. They wanted him, to call a family meeting and say, you guys, I'm not going to support you anymore. And Yosef doesn't do anything. That further complicates the matter. Because then you have the resentment towards the righteous. You have the fact that it's an objection that Yosef is the tzaddik. Why is he called a tzaddik? He was the one that's the bosom royal aviyam. He spoke against us. He started it. So this resentment exists. So this is really a great study in humanity and how people are. How people, so to speak, adjust to situations. And therefore, there are many times when the person would value a criticism over praise. because of the fact that then, so to speak, we all become equal. No one's holier than someone else. No one is better. And that's part of the competition that exists between human beings and between leaders and the Jewish people. So all of this should be considered when we hear the Parsha. All of the layers, the complexities of the relationship. The Mefarshim we'll discuss next week, God willing, when we come to Shmos and to the enslavement of the Jewish people. There were hundreds of years in Egypt when they were not enslaved. The Torah does not speak about it. The Torah doesn't speak about the good times. According to almost all the Mefarshim, it's only the last 80 years that we have the story of the enslavement and then of the Exodus. So the Mefarshim point out is because the enslavement is what formed the Jewish people and not the good times. And therefore the Torah didn't put emphasis on it. So all of this is a continuation of this psychological drama which the Torah has presented for us in these last 4 parshas of Chumash Bereishis, the story of Yaakov and Yosef and his brothers, the exquisite choice of words that the Torah always uses in order to give us this deeper meaning and understanding as to what is truly involved. So have a great Shabbat, everyone. Shabbat Chazak, and we should all be Chazak, V'nis Chazak.
Great shiur of wine. Very good. You have a beautiful sweater. A good Shabbos. Feel well.
If when Yosef meets his brothers and opens the subject of the fact that they sold him, if instead of saying, not your fault, God did it, if he would have said, yes, your decision was terrible, cost me a lot, but God used that bad decision to move forward his plan.
But his tzidkus was
I know,
such, prevents him from doing that.
And in each case, nobody says they're sorry. Yosef doesn't say, I'm sorry, I was a
Nobody
brat.
says